In this session, we are going to look at some examination style kind of questions on business mathematics. Business mathematics, it means that we're going to talk about, look at questions that talk about things like interest, discount, depreciation, profit and loss, currency exchange, commission, and hire purchase. So let's get started. So, yeah, this is number 16 from some examination past paper question. Paul and Mary. Here it says that Paul and Mary invested 600,000. Yep, they both invested 600,000 each in a savings society for 2 years. Paul opted for simple interest while Mary opted for compound interest. Both interests were at 12% per annum. Find the interest earned by each one of them. So that's the first thing. We are going to find the interest earned by Paul and the interest earned by Mary. Now, according to the question, both of them, their principal, the money they put was they invested 600,000. Even Mary invested 600,000, and well, the time was 2 years. Even this one took 2 years. However, Paul opted for simple interest, so we know that here simple interest is given by principal times rate times time over 100. And then Mary opted for compound interest. The formula we shall be using, it's compound interest. We know that the amount of money you have when you have applied compound interest is given by the principal into 1 plus R, where R stands for rate, and this is to the power t, the time taken. So let's get started. Let's find, they're asking us in part A, find the interest earned by each of them. So let's look at the interest earned by Paul. So the interest earned by Paul, since for him simple interest is principal times rate times the time, divide that by 100. Of course, the rate, that 100 is as a result of this R. The rate is always out of 100. Okay, so when we continue with that, the principal is 600,000. Multiply that by the rate is 12%. So that's going to be 12 over 100. Multiply that by the time, well, it's 2 years. So we shall do 2 years because the interest is per annum, right? Per year. So it's times 2 years. Okay, so that means the rest is math. Cancelling out, those 2 zeros die with that 0, and then we shall end up with, so this is the interest earned by Paul after 2 years. Now let's look at the interest earned by Mary after 2 years. So Mary, we know that the amount is going to be given by the principal, which is 600,000. Multiply that by, not multiplication, but rather that's into 1 plus the rate. Now the rate is 12%, so it is 1 plus 12 over 100. Divide that to the power t. T so happens to be the time. The time here is 2 years, so we shall put 2 years up there. So this is going to be 600,000 into, so the answer is 752,640. Now take note that this is not the interest. Remember, the question is asking us to find the interest earned by each of them. What we have here is the amount. Now that we have the amount that Mary gets at the end of the 2 years, this is Mary. Mary gets that amount after 2 years because the formula here is a amount. For the formula for simple interest, we're able to get it directly, but here we first got the amount. Now that we know that the amount of money Mary gets after 2 years is this, so now let's go ahead and calculate the interest. So to get the interest after 2 years, it's going to be equal to the amount after the period, that is amount after 2 years minus the principal, or minus the money she began with. So at the end of 2 years, the money was 752,640. Subtract the money she invested, the principal, which is 600,000. Then from there, we are able to get the So there we're able to get the interest, and the interest here is 152,640. So this is the interest Mary gets after 2 years, and this is the interest Paul gets after 2 years. And I think from here you can clearly see that Mary made more money. Part B. So the question says, who earned more interest and by how much? Of course, from here you can say that it is Mary. Mary earned more interest. By how much? We simply subtract the two interest figures. So by how much is going to become 152,640 minus 144,000. When we subtract the two, we end up with, sorry, it is earned more interest by 8,640. Yeah. So that's the answer. Going on. A saleswoman earns a basic salary of 120,000 and a commission of 8% of the month's total sales. If the month's total sales were that much, find her income for that month. So a saleswoman earns a basic salary. So of course, this means that this person's salary is calculated like this. The salary is calculated like, first, she gets a basic salary plus commission on sales. So they're saying a saleswoman earns a basic salary of 120,000. So meaning she earns that one, whether she makes sales or not. She's supposed to make 120,000. So she makes this and a commission of 8% of the total of the month's total sales. So if the month's total sales were this, find her income for the month. So meaning for the month, it's 120,000, the basic pay, plus the commission on the sales for that month. And the commission, they say, is 8%. So it's 8 over 100. Multiply that by the total sales of the month, which is 1,350,000. So what do we have here? These two will go with those two. And this is what we'll end up with. So we shall end up with 120,000. Add that to 108,000. And there we shall end up with. So that's the answer. Moving on, here we have a hawker. A hawker sells handkerchiefs at 500 each. He sold 50 handkerchiefs in the first week. In the second week, he sold 20% more than in the first week. In the third week, he sold 10% more than in the second week. Each week, he receives a commission of 8% on the price of the first 20 handkerchiefs sold, and 12% for any handkerchief sold in excess of 20. Express the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week as a percentage of the number sold the first week. Then calculate the commission received in the third week, and if the fourth week the hawker received a commission of 2,000, calculate the number of handkerchiefs he sold that week. This is quite a detailed question. Let's break it down slowly. Okay, a hawker sells handkerchiefs 500 each. So there is week 1. Okay, so one hanky is 500 shillings only. So in week 1, okay, he sold 50 handkerchiefs in the first week. Okay, so he sold 50 handkerchiefs in the first week. So let's look at week 1. In week 1, he sold 50 handkerchiefs, right? In the second week, he sold 20% more than in the first week. So in week 2, he sells 20% more. So what is 20% of 50? 20% of 50 is 10. So it means in the second week, he sells 20% more, so meaning that it is that 10 plus 50. Well, let me do the working here. Let me just move slowly for some of my people here. I don't want to lose loose. So 20% times 50, this goes with that, this goes with that, this is 10. So 20% of 50 is 10. Now, if the question says that in the second week he sold 20% more than in the first week, so meaning that In the first week it sold 50, 20% of 50 is 10. So in the second week it is that 20% more. So it's going to be 50 plus the 20% more, which is the 10 handkerchiefs. So in the second week they are 60 handkerchiefs he sold. So the question goes ahead to say that in the third week he receives, okay, wait, in the third week he sold 10% more than in the second week. So meaning that in the second week, remember, he sold 60, right? So meaning that in the third week, if in the third week he sells 10% more than in the second week, so let's first look at 10% of 60. So this is 60 times 10%, which is 10 over 100. This goes with that, this goes with that. So meaning that 10% of 60 is 6. So meaning that in the third week, it's going to be 10% more than in the second week. So in the second week, if he sold 60, so it means it's going to become 60 plus 10% more, which is 6. So meaning in the third week, he sold 66 handkerchiefs. I hope we are following. So that means that in the second week, he sold 20% more in the first week. In the third week, he sold 10% more than in the second week. So this is how much he sells. Those are the sales. Okay. So putting the sales aside, the question continues to say, that each week he receives a commission of 8% on the price of the first 20 handkerchiefs sold, and 12% for any handkerchief sold in excess. This is the rule for each week, that each week he receives a commission of 8% on the price of the first 20 handkerchiefs sold, and 12% for any handkerchiefs sold in excess of 20. Okay. Number 1, express the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week. These are the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week. So express the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week as a percentage of the number sold in the first week. So that's going to become 66. Those are the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week. We're expressing that as a percentage of those that have sold in the first week. Those that are sold in the first week are 50. Multiply that by 100%. And so, of course, when you do that, you're going to end up with, this is going to become 132%. 132% means that compared to the first week, in the third week we sold 32% more handkerchiefs than in the first week. So that express the number of handkerchiefs sold in the third week as a percentage of the number sold in the first week. It's 132%. It's more than 100, meaning that there was an increment. Part B, calculate the commission he received in the third week. So part B, commission received in the third week. Now remember, in the third week, he sold 66 hankies. And remember, each hanky is 500 shillings. Remember, according to the rules, he receives a commission of 8% on the price of the first 20 handkerchiefs. So let's first remove the 20 handkerchiefs minus the 20 handkerchiefs. How many handkerchiefs are remaining after 20? You're going to remain with 46 handkerchiefs. So on the first 20 handkerchiefs, the commission received, remember, it's 8% on the price. So calculating that commission you received, we are going to say it's going to become, we have, remember, first of all, the sales of the first 20. Remember, each handkerchief is 500 shillings, so it's going to become 20. Multiply that by 500. So that means that that is 10, meaning that that is 10,000 shillings. That is the first 20. Okay, 20 handkerchiefs, and he receives a commission of 8% on the first 20 handkerchiefs. So 8% of the sales for the first 20 handkerchiefs, which is 10,000, will end up being 8,000. So that is 8,000, the first 20 handkerchiefs. But remember, the question continues to say that this guy, when he sells, he gets a commission of 8% on the price of the first 20 handkerchiefs sold, and 12% for any handkerchiefs sold in excess of 20. So those ones that were sold in excess of 20, we've been able to see that they are 46. So we are going to find the price of these handkerchiefs that were sold in excess of 20, and then we'll go ahead and calculate the commission he gets. So this is the commission he gets for the first 20. Then the excess, how much did he sell for excess? It's going to be 46 handkerchiefs times 500 shillings per hanky. And so 46 times 500, this is what we get. It's 23,000. So that is an excess of 23,000. So he makes 12% commission on this, on that excess. So it's going to become 12%. So it's 12 over 100 of the sales of the 46 hankies, which is 23,000. And from here, what we have is this. This is the commission is going to be 2,760. Okay, I realize this actually here, this was supposed to be 800, my bad. Yeah, it's actually 800. This is 800. Yeah, no. This is supposed to be 800, not 8,000. I think, I don't know how that extra zero sneaked in. So that is the second commission. Then, so meaning the total commission will be 2,760, add 800, and there you have your answer. 3,560. So that's the commission he gets in the third week, and that answers that question. That calculate the commission he received in the third week. So that has also been answered. C. In the fourth week, the hawker received a commission of 2,000. Calculate the number of handkerchiefs he sold in that week. Okay, so he gets a commission of 2,000. Let's calculate. It means you're going to calculate backwards. This is part C. Okay. In the fourth week, the hawker received a commission of 2,000. Calculate the number of handkerchiefs he sold in that week. So if he got a commission of 2,000 shillings. How much commission does he get when he sells the first 20 hankies? Because this commission comes from first of all, first 20 hankies. The first 20 hankies, it's meaning it's going to be 20, multiply that by 500 shillings, and so it means the total sales are going to be 5 times 2, that is 10,000, and so the commission, this is sales, this is commission. Commission will be 8% of that 10,000, and there we discovered it was 800. Let me rub the rest of these things away. So in other words, here we have the sales and we have commission. That's the first 20. Then excess of 20. The excess of 20 now means that since the commission he gets here is the commission for the first 20 is 800. So we know that he gets a commission of 2,000. So meaning that 2,000, if we are to get that figure, 2,000 shillings, which is the commission, minus 800, because that 800 is accommodating for the first 20 hankies. So minus 800, we have 1,200 commission remaining. Now remember, this 1,200, the remaining commission is equivalent to 12%. Let's take note here that it's 12% here. That at first it is when he sells the first 20 hankies, he will get 8% commission, right? According to our question here, 8% commission is earned on the first 20 hankies, and we've identified that those first 20 hankies, the commission he earned was 800. So we subtract that 800 from the 2000, which we've done here. So we have the remaining commission. Now this remaining commission must be the kind of commission that he earned at a rate of 12% here. So meaning that this 12,000 is representing 12%. So we need to find how the value of sales. So we shall simply come here and say that this 1,200, which is the amount of commission that is remaining, is representing 12%, which so happen to be his commission when he sells in excess of 20. So what about 100%? Because that the 100% is going to represent where this 12% came from. That is going to be equal to x. When we cross multiply, we shall end up with 12x giving us 1,200. Multiply that by 100. When you divide both sides by 12, this is what we end up with. We shall end up with by 12 ones, by 12 ones, by 12 ones, by 12, 100. So we shall end up with 100,000, which is 10,000. So if it is 10,000, that means that this is the sales figure, because these are the sales where we multiplied the 12% to get 1,000, 1,200 as commission. So if this is the sales figure, then we need to know how many hankies are in this 10,000. So we shall come and say that the number of hankies there are 10,000. Divide that by the price of each hanky, which is 500. These two zeros go with that, by 5 ones, by 5, 20. And so we shall end up with 20 hankies. So what does that mean? That means that at first, the guy sold the first 20, which is right here, what we represented here, the first 20, and he got a commission of 800, yeah, which is this one. And then the other excess was another 20 hankies, and he got a commission for 10,000 for it. So meaning that the total hankies sold in the fourth week are the first 20 plus the excess, giving us 40 hankies. Adikini bought a television set for which the cash price was 599,000. She bought the television set on hire purchase scheme and had to pay an extra 71,000. If she made 8 equal monthly installments, how much did she pay per month? Now, if you look at this question, you're supposed to understand what we mean by hire purchase, and there's hire purchase, and then there's cash payment where you buy. So according to this question, they're telling us that if this guy had bought the thing straight up, that if this person Adikini had paid cash, she would have paid 599,000 if they had paid cash. However, because they were buying the television set on hire purchase scheme, they paid an extra 71,000. So meaning by extra 71,000, it means that because of the hire purchase, they paid an extra 71,000. But this 71,000 extra was paid not all at once, but over installments, over a period of time in installments. And according to the question, they are telling us that they are 8 monthly installments. Now, if they are 8 monthly installments, then the question goes out to us, how much did she pay per month? I mean, if she pays an extra 71,000 in shillings, made 8 equal monthly installments. So let's first calculate the total amount of the hire purchase. This is going to be, let's find it there, that's 9, 10, that is 17, 670,000, right? So the installments are going to be 670,000. The question says 8 equal monthly installments. So divide this by 8, and what do we have? We have 83,750. So this is what she pays per month for 8 months to be able to retrieve that television. So getting on to part B of this question, it says Mosaka. The person is called Mosaka. Mosaka wants to buy a house which is priced at 56 million. Yeah. So there is a house here that is priced at 56 million. A deposit of 25% of the value of the house is required. So we need this deposit of 25%. So the question continues to say that a bank will lend him the rest of the money at a compound interest of 15% per annum, and this is payable after 2 years. All right, let's move into the question. The question says, of course, we're dealing with Roman 2. We only finished Roman 1. Roman 2, amount. Decalculate the amount of money Mosaka will have to pay the bank after 2 years. So how much money will he have to pay the bank after 2 years? So let's first demystify this question. First of all, the house is priced at 56 million. But of the 56, a 25% deposit is required. So let's first figure out the deposit first. So the deposit that is required on the house is 25%. So that's going to be 25 over 100. Multiply that by 56 million. So definitely that is going to become by 25 once by 100, that is 4 times. Then we get the 56 million. 56 divide that by 4. What do we have? We have 14. So it means here we have 14 million. So 14 million so happens to be the deposit. So after depositing 14 million, how much do we remain? How much is remaining for us to pay? So that is simply the 56 million minus the 14 million. So in other words, the remaining. Remember, it's the remaining according to the question. If you see here, the question says that the bank will lend him the rest of the money. So the rest of the money after clearing of this, after this deposit, the rest of the money is what the bank is, willing to lend him. So to get the remaining money, it's going to be the 56 million minus the 14, which so happens to be the 45%, the 25% deposit. So subtracting those two, we are able to get the remaining money, which so happens to be 42 million. Now that we have the remaining money, which is 42 million, that is how much is remaining. So how much the bank says that it's going to lend him at 15% per annum, payable after 2 years, and this is compound interest. And definitely compound interest here. The formula for compound interest, the amount is given by the principal into 1 plus the rate, which is definitely a rate out of 100 to the power t. So the principal here, that is how much the bank is going to lend him, is 42 million. And that is into 1 plus the rate. The rate is 15%, so it's 15 over 100 to the power t. The time in this case is 2 years, because it's per annum, per year, so it's 2 years. If it was per month, and that would be 24 months, we'll put 24 up there. Okay, so that's going to become 42 million. So we shall end up with 55. 545 000. So 55,545,000. This is how much he will pay back to the bank. In other words, we have answered this question. The amount of money Mosaka will have to pay the bank after 2 years, it is this. It is 55,545 000. That is how much he pays back to the bank. That's the answer. So moving on, Roman 3, the total money which Mosaka will spend to buy the house. Of course, the total money he spends to buy the house includes, let's call it the total money spent. This is Roman 3. So the total money spent is, first of all, the deposit. We already got the deposit here as 14 million. It's right there. This is how much he first deposited. So he first deposited 14 million, that is, shall come here, it's 14 million. Then plus the money he gets from the bank. You know, the money he pays back to the bank. This is how much he pays to the bank. We are looking for how much he spends on the house. So it is an addition of the money that the initial deposit plus the money he has to pay back to the bank because of the loan he got to, purchase the house. And definitely when you add those two, that's how much he spends to buy the house, 69,545,000. And so that answers Roman 3 as well. So moving on, here we have a Forex Bureau buys $1 at 1,900. So in other words, $1 is 1,900 Uganda shillings. Okay. And sells £1 sterling, £1 at 3,450. Okay. A team wants to exchange 3,000 US dollars to pound sterlings. How many pound sterlings will she get? So of course this is UGX, this is UGX, this is Uganda shillings. Okay. So now, of course, we do not know. This person has 3,000 US dollars, and they want to convert them to pounds. Now, according to the information that has been given to us in the question, we do not have a direct conversion from US dollar to pounds. However, we have from US dollar to Uganda shillings, which is UGX, and we also have pounds to Uganda shillings. But we do not have a direct exchange rate from US dollars to pounds. So what we are going to do is we are going to first convert the US dollars to Uganda shillings. Then from Uganda shillings, we convert it to pounds. And then we shall be able to know how much the 3,000 United States dollars are equivalent to in pounds. So that's the approach. So we get started. So here we go. A Forex Bureau buys $1 at 1,900. So we shall come and say that $1 is bought at 1,900 Uganda shillings. Question: what about 3,000? How much will they be equivalent to in Uganda shillings? So let's call that x. When we cross multiply, our value of x, which is x times 1, is going to be given by 3,000. Multiply that by 1,900. And so what do we have there? What we have there is 5,700,000. And this 5,700,000 is Uganda shillings. So we have converted the 3,000 US dollars to Uganda shillings, and we have it as 5,700,000. Now that we have converted it to Uganda shillings, now let's convert it to pounds, because the question wants us to exchange the money from dollars to pounds. So to do that, we shall come here and say, therefore, we know that £1 is equivalent to 3,450. This is Uganda shillings. So how much will Uganda shillings 5.7 million, how much will it be equivalent to in pounds? Let's call that x and cross multiply. So when we call that as x and cross multiply, x times 3,450 gives us 3,450. X is given by 1 times 5,700,000, which gives us exactly that. Divide both sides by that figure, 3,450. Divide that by 3,450. This will go with that. We shall remain with the value of x as. So our value of x is going to be 1,652.17 pounds. So moving on, a trader made a 35% profit after selling a goat at 45,900. How much profit did the trader get? So it's a 35% profit. after selling a goat at this much, how much profit did the trader get? Now, if it is a 35% profit, it means that this price has both the initial price the thing was bought, which if you call it the cost price, plus profit. This is going to give us the selling price. So the cost price, you could also call it the purchasing price, because the person purchased something, then you add a profit, and then you get your selling price. Now, in this case, the selling price is 45,900. And we are saying that when he sold it at that price, which is 45,900, the profit this person got was 35%. So it's going to be a 35% plus the cost price. The cost price is always at 100%. That is the initial price before the profit issues come in. So in other words, this amount of money, 135%, is what is represented by 45,900. But now we want to find out how much profit the trader got. If 135% is representing 45,900, what about, let's find the cost price. What about the 100%? That's the cost price. How much is it going to be equivalent to? We cross multiply. When you cross multiply that, we are going to end up with 135% is going to give us 100, multiply that by 45,900. When divide both sides by 135, so the 34,000 represents the amount of money that we used to buy the thing, the cost price. This 34,000 represents the 100%, which so happens to be the cost price. But the question says that how much profit did he get? So let's go ahead and calculate the profit. So meaning the profit will be the selling price minus the cost price. The selling price was 45,900 minus the cost price, which is 34,000. And what do we have as the answer? So our profit in this case is going to be equal to 11,900. So that's how much profit this guy makes. So moving on, an FM radio commercial section charges fees for any radio announcements as follows. So the first 10 words are 5,000. And any additional word is, now any additional word is 100 each. Find the total charge for the announcement below. So we have an announcement here. So let's first find the first count of the first 10 words. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the first 10 words cost, according to the question, 5,000. 5,000 shillings. So we've written it like that. Okay. So that the first 10 words. Now we have the additional. So let's count the additional. So the additional, we were told that each additional word is 100 shillings each. So how many additional words are there after the first 10 words? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. So there are additional ones are 51. And get that 51, multiply that by 100 because each additional one is 100 shillings each. So you have 51,000. So since you have 51,000 as the total, no, actually it's not 51,000, but actually 5,100. The question requires us to get the total charge of the announcement, so meaning the total charge is going to become the 5,000 plus the 5,100. And when you add the two, you end up with 10,100, and that's the total charge of the announcement. A pickup van can be bought by 8,750,000 or can be bought on hire purchase by paying 25% deposit of cash price and 12 monthly installments of 600,000 per month. Calculate the cost of the pickup by hire purchase. So let's calculate the cost of the pickup by hire purchase. That's Roman 1 of the question. So let's look at the terms of the hire purchase. A pickup van can be bought by cash at this much. No, we're not interested in buying the thing at cash. Or can be bought by hire purchase by paying 25% deposit of cash price plus 12 monthly installments. So for hire purchase, it's going to cost us 25% of cash price plus 12 monthly installments. That's what it's going to cost us. So let's go ahead and look at what's 25% of the cash. So it's 25%. Multiply that by the cash price, which so happens to be this right there, 8,750,000 plus the 12 monthly installments. So after a deposit of that cash price of 25% plus 12 monthly installments of 600,000 per month. So the 12 monthly installments of 600,000 per month, that's going to be 600,000. Multiply that by the 12 months. So from here, what do we have as our final answer? So what we have there is, so the 25% of 8 million is 2,187,500 plus the 12 monthly installments, which amount to 7,200,000. So when we add up those two, we end up with 9,387,500. So that's how it's going. That's how. So that's how much it will cost for hire purchase. So Roman 2 is asking, how much extra money will be paid for the pickup by hire purchase than by cash? So meaning that the extra money paid for the pickup by hire purchase. So of course, if we are to buy this thing by cash, we shall pay, just 8,750,000. This is by cash. Then by hire purchase, we shall be paying that much, which is 9,387,500. So the question is, how much extra money, how much extra money shall be paid for the pickup by hire purchase? So of course we shall simply, to find the extra money paid because you used by hire purchase, we are going to simply subtract those two figures. So it's the hire purchase price, which is 9,387,500 minus the money you will have paid if you had bought the thing by cash, which is 8,750,000. And of course, when you subtract those two, this is what you end up with. You end up with 637,500. This is the extra cash you would pay if you had used hire purchase instead. Moving on. Mr. Lwanga and Mr. Okot were each given Uganda shillings 980,000 at the beginning of 1999. Mr. Lwanga exchanged his money to United States dollars and then banked it on his foreign currency account at a compound interest of 2% per annum. Compound interest. while Mr. Okot banked his money without exchanging it at a compound interest of 12% per annum. Okay, they both are doing compound interest. The exchange rates in 1999 and 2000 were 1,250 and 1,500 to the dollar, respectively. If Mr. Okot withdrew 120,000 at the end of 2000, calculate the money or the amount of money in Uganda shillings each man had in the bank at the end of 2000. So we are going to analyze each man at a go. So let's first deal with Mr. Luanga. So we have Luanga here. That is Mr. Luanga. Okay. And then of course we have Okot, but let's look at Rwanda or Okot. Maybe let's talk of Okot here. All right. So Mr. Luanga and Mr. Okot, these are the two people we're talking about here. Mr. Luanga were each given 980,000. So Mr. Luanga was given 980,000. Even Okot was given 980,000. Okay. At the beginning of 1999. All right. Mr. Luanga exchanged his money to US dollars and then banked it on his foreign currency account. So this one exchanged his money, Mr. Luanga. We are moving step by step. So Mr. Luanga exchanged his money to US dollars and then banked it on his foreign currency account at a compound interest of 2% per annum. So this is 2% compound interest after this thing has been exchanged to US dollars. Then you're saying while Mr. Okot banked his money without exchanging it at a compound interest. So for Mr. Okot, it was 12% compound interest. That's where the terms per annum. The exchange rates in 1999 and 2000 were that. So in 1999, remember it's in 1999 that they received the money. Okay. So it is in 1999 that Mr. Luanga converted his money into US dollars. So the exchange rate in 1999 was 1,250. So it means that the exchange rate in how much money was Luanga able to bank? We know that in 1999, 1 US dollar was equivalent to 1,250 Uganda shillings. Okay, so how much? What about the 980,000 he banked? How much will that be in US dollars? When we cross multiply that, let's get back to this blue color. It's going to become 1,250 x, giving us 980,000. I've just cross multiplied. When I divide both sides by 1,250, divide both sides by 1,250, how much do we end up with? This is going to become our value of x is going to be equal to 784. So that is $784. So in other words, at the beginning of 1999, Mr. Luanga banks $784. So now the question continues to say that if Mr. Okot withdrew 120,000 at the end of 2000, so Mr. Okot, this one eventually withdraws, this guy here, Okot, withdraws 120,000, withdraw. If he withdraws 120,000 at the end of 2000, they are asking us to calculate the amount of money in Uganda shillings each man had in the bank at the end of 2000. Okay, so let's get started with the amount. Let's get started with Luanga. So we know that Luanga, the amount is going to have after 2 years. Remember, it's going to be the principal plus, no, it's not plus, it's principal, multiply that by 1 plus the rate of 100 to the power time. The principal for Luanga, remember, he converts his money, and it is meaning at 1999 he banks 784, so it's going to become $784 into 1 plus the rate Of course, the compound interest rate for him was 2% compound interest, so it's going to become 2 over 100 divided to the power 2 years. So how much does he have at the end of 2 years? And that is going to become, so at the end of 2 years, Mr. Lwanga will have 815.6736 US dollars. That is at the end of 2 years at a compound interest rate of 2%. So converting that to Uganda shillings, of course, at the end of 2 years, that is in the second year is 2000. At the end of 2000, and we can see here that at the end of 2000, according to the question, they are saying that in 2000, the exchange rate was 1,500. So meaning that in the year 2000, 1 US dollar was equivalent to 1,500 Uganda shillings. That is what is here, like 1,500. So if this guy had this much money, if he had 815.6736 US dollars, how much is that in Uganda shillings? Let's call that X. So this here X is going to become 1,500. Multiply that by 815.6736. When you multiply those two to get the amount of money he has in dollars, this is what you end up with. So he ends up with 1,223,510. This is the amount of money he ends up with in Uganda shillings. So this is as far as, this is what he has in the bank at the end. They are asking us to calculate the amount of money each man had in the bank at the end of 2000. So at the end of the 2000, Mr. Lwanga has this amount of money. So now that we know what Mr. Lwanga has in the bank at the end of that, let's calculate how much this guy has. What's his other name? Okot. How much does Okot have in the bank at the end of 2000? So how much does Okot have at the end of 2000? So this is Okot. So how much does Okot have? First of all, remember he also got the amount he gets, the amount he has after it's going to be P into 1 plus the rate over 100 times the time to the power T, in other words. So the principal is 980,000. Multiply that by 1 plus the rate. Now for him is subject to 12% compound interest, so it is 12 over 100 to the power 2 because there are 2 years. So how much he has, we go ahead and find that out. Here, the amount he has in the bank after 2 years is going to be 1,229,312. That's the amount that is accumulated on his money by compound interest. But remember, the question continues to say that he withdraws, let's not forget that detail, that he withdraws 120,000 at the end. In other words, they ask here, if Mr. Okot withdrew 120,000 at the end of 2000, calculate the amount of money each man had in the bank. So if this is the amount he has, his money generates compound interest and it accumulates up to this much at the end of the 2 years. Remember, he withdraws. So for Okot, it's going to be 1,229,312 minus the amount of money he withdraws from the bank, which is 120,000. When you subtract that amount of money, you end up with 1 million. That is 109,312. This is how much money now he has. So this is how much money he has. So that means that how much money Mr. Lwanga has in the bank at the end of at the end of the 2 years. This is how much money Okot has at the end of 2 years. So the second part of the question asks us that, so who had more money and by how much? Of course, if you look at who had more money and by how much, of course, if you look at the two figures here for Okot and Lwanga, you realize that as far as money in the bank is concerned, Mr. Luanga has more money. And by how much? You simply have to subtract the two figures. So that's going to be 1, 2, 2, 3, 5, 1, 0.4. That is how much, Luanga has. Subtract 1,109,312. When you subtract the two, you'll be able to know how much Luanga has over the other. So you realize that Mr. Luanga has 114,198. This is how much he has more. So that's how much money he has more. And by that, we have been able to answer that question. This brings us to the end of this session. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Arnold Ranga Kuramya. This is Kisembo Academy. Take care.